It was nearly 3 a.m. when Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, found himself staring at the glowing screen of his laptop, struggling against the ever-present insomnia that had plagued him for the last few days. Production delays at the new Tesla factory had kept him up far past his usual bedtime. Normally, he would have turned in hours ago, but his mind just wouldn't quiet down. Every time he closed his eyes, the problems at the factory rushed back to him. Supply chain issues, technical setbacks, and the weight of deadlines. With a sigh, he pushed aside his cold cup of coffee and clicked through a few more Tesla owner forums. He often did this when his mind couldn't settle. Reading reviews from customers about his cars, both the good and the bad, was a strange comfort. It reminded him of the work he did and why he kept pushing himself, because it mattered. But as he scrolled through the Tesla classified section, something caught his eye. It was a post listing a near-new Tesla Model 3 for an unbelievably low price. The description was sparse, but it contained a detail that immediately pulled him in. Need to sell fast. Son needs heart surgery. Elon clicked on the post without hesitation. His curiosity piqued. The car in the photo looked pristine. Its shiny blue paint gleamed under the lights, the interior spotless. There were only 5,300 miles on the odometer, yet the price listed was half of what it should have been. Beneath the photos was a short message from the seller. Tesla Model 3, perfect condition, need to sell fast. Son needs heart surgery. Please contact Darren Foster below. Elon zoomed in on the photo of the seller. A man stood next to the car, his face weary but determined. Beside him stood a small boy, no older than 8, with pale skin and hollow cheeks. Despite the frailty of his appearance, the boy was smiling, a tired but brave smile that made Elon pause. The boy wore a t-shirt with a space theme, featuring rockets and planets. There was something about that smile, about the way the boy looked so full of quiet strength, that tugged at Elon's heart in a way he couldn't explain. Leaning closer to the screen, Elon studied the boy's face, searching for some clue as to why it had affected him so deeply. There was no denying the connection he felt. The man, Darren according to the post, had the look of a father in a desperate fight to save his child. The kind of determination that could make someone sell something they cherished, like a beloved car, just to ensure their child's survival. He rubbed his tired eyes. Why was this affecting him so much? There had been sad stories before, but this one felt different. The clock on his computer blinked 3:15 a.m. He couldn't shake the image of the boy's brave smile. Elon had seen pictures like this before, parents in distress, families facing financial hardship. But something about this one stayed with him. Maybe it was the boy's shirt, reminding Elon of his own childhood dreams of space. Or perhaps it was the father's willingness to sacrifice his pride and joy for the sake of his son. Either way, this story had burrowed itself into Elon's mind, and he couldn't let it go. Save this listing, he muttered to himself. With a click, the post was saved in his browser. Still, he couldn't stop thinking about it. He clicked through some more pages on the forum, but his thoughts kept drifting back to the image of the boy. Eventually, after 10 minutes of distraction, he opened the listing again. The post had a phone number at the bottom. Darren Foster, Phoenix, Arizona. Elon rarely called anyone directly. His assistants usually handled these matters, but something about this felt personal. He made a mental note to have his assistant call Darren the next morning. Yet even as he tried to push it from his mind and focus on the tasks ahead, Elon couldn't stop thinking about the boy. His heart raced as the thought nagged him. What if this child needed more than just a donation? What if there was something bigger he could do here? Something beyond a simple financial transaction? He opened a new browser tab and typed in "rare heart conditions in children" into the search bar. Thousands of links popped up, each describing a different condition, treatment, or specialist. Without knowing the specific problem Leo, the boy in the picture, had, Elon couldn't narrow down his search. Next, he typed in Darren Foster, Phoenix, Arizona, hoping to track down more information. His instincts told him the location was probably accurate, given the Arizona license plate visible in the photo. A social media profile popped up. Darren Foster worked as a mechanic at a local garage. His wife, Tanya, was a nurse's aide at a hospital. There were a few photos of Leo, some from when he was playing baseball, others taken recently in a hospital room. Leo's appearance grew thinner with each photo, his once bright eyes fading. Elon's heart sank as he scrolled through the photos. He clicked on the latest one. Leo in a hospital bed, wearing a hospital gown, still smiling, though weaker now. Elon felt a lump form in his throat. "Jarvis, get me everything you can find on Leo Foster's medical condition," he said to his AI system. Within minutes, a medical file appeared on Elon's screen. Leo Foster, age 8, diagnosed with hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, a rare genetic mutation. Standard treatments were ineffective, and the recommended surgery would cost $175,000. Elon let out a low whistle. No wonder Darren was selling the car. Even if they sold the Tesla at full price, it wouldn't cover the cost of the surgery. The clock read 4 a.m. Elon sat back in his chair, rubbing his eyes. He should have been sleeping, but his mind was racing. He could just buy the car at full price, but something told him that wasn't enough. There had to be a bigger opportunity here, not just to help one child, but perhaps many children with similar conditions. His medical research division had been working on new cardiac microdevices, and Leo's case seemed like it could be a perfect match. Closing his laptop, Elon felt a new sense of determination. Tomorrow he would set things in motion. He would have his assistant May contact Darren Foster and arrange to see the car. And maybe, just maybe, he could offer more than just a quick fix. He finally allowed himself to close his eyes. For the first time in days, the quiet of the night felt real. As sleep overtook him, Elon's last thought was about Leo's smile. The kind of smile that inspired a person to go to the ends of the earth to make things right. The sun was just beginning to rise over Silicon Valley when Elon woke up, feeling surprisingly refreshed despite only getting a few hours of sleep. He had spent the early morning hours contemplating what he had seen the night before. Leo Foster's smile, the boy's passion for space, the desperate need for surgery, everything had stayed with him. The more he thought about it, the more certain he became that this was something he couldn't ignore. Elon quickly dressed, grabbing a cup of coffee on his way to the office. His assistant, Mei Yang, was already seated at her desk when he arrived. She looked up as he entered, her eyes scanning the room for any signs of urgency in his demeanor. "Good morning, Elon. What's the priority for today?" she asked, tapping on her tablet. Elon took a seat at his desk, settling into the chair. "Top priority, May. Contact Darren Foster, the man selling the Tesla in Phoenix. He's the one whose son, Leo, needs heart surgery. I want to meet him in person." May raised an eyebrow, but she knew better than to question Elon's sudden focus. "I'll arrange it immediately. Anything else?" Elon paused for a moment, thinking. "Yes, have my medical team look into Leo's condition, see if we have anything that could help. The surgery is expensive, but we might be able to offer something more." May nodded, already typing into her tablet. "Understood. I'll get started on both." Elon sat back in his chair, rubbing his temples. His thoughts were racing. He had already looked up Leo's medical information, but now he had to figure out how to actually help. The technology at his disposal through Tesla and SpaceX could change the world. But how could it help this one child? What if this wasn't just about Leo? What if this was about making a real difference? Not just for one person, but for many. Darren Foster had spent the better part of the morning pacing around the small garage he worked in, trying to keep his mind off the fact that his car, his dream car, was about to be sold. The Tesla Model 3 had been more than just a vehicle. It had been a symbol of his hard work, a piece of something that represented better days. But now, in the face of his son's dire medical need, it was just another sacrifice. When his phone rang, Darren was elbow deep in an oil change on a pickup truck. He wiped his hands on a rag before picking up the phone. It was a local number he didn't recognize. "Hello? Mr. Foster, this is Mei Jiang calling from Elon Musk's office. I'm reaching out on behalf of Mr. Musk, who saw your Tesla listing online. He's interested in discussing it with you personally. Would tomorrow afternoon work for a meeting?" Darren's heart skipped a beat. Elon Musk? The Elon Musk? His grip tightened on the phone as he tried to process what he had just heard. "Are you serious? Elon Musk wants to meet me?" Darren asked, his voice rising in disbelief. This is no joke, Mr. Foster. Mr. Musk would like to meet you at your home tomorrow at 4 p.m. to inspect the car, May said, her tone calm and professional. Darren stood there stunned. His mind raced. Why would Elon Musk care about a used Tesla? He quickly thought of Leo, his son, the reason they were selling the car. Was this a publicity stunt, or was there something more to it? Yeah, tomorrow works. After my shift ends, Darren stammered. Perfect, May replied. Mr. Musk will be there at 4 p.m. Please have the car available for inspection. Darren hung up the phone, still in shock. He stood motionless for a moment, trying to absorb what had just happened. Elon Musk wanted to see his car. Why? It didn't make sense. Was this just a rich guy looking to buy a car, or did he know about Leo's condition? Elon's private jet was cruising above the clouds on its way to Phoenix the next afternoon. He was seated reviewing Leo's medical files again. His team had been working non-stop to gather information, trying to see if they had any technology that could help the boy. Dr. Franklin, what do you think? Elon asked, speaking into his phone during a video call with his chief medical officer. It's fascinating, Dr. Franklin responded. Leo's condition is rare, but our miniaturized cardiac assist devices could potentially help, but we would need special approval for an experimental procedure. Elon stared out of the window at the vast landscape below. His mind was focused, and his determination was unwavering. I'll make sure we have everything we need, Elon said, leaning forward. Get the paperwork ready, and I want options presented to the family as soon as we arrive. We're going to make this work. He paused, reflecting on his decision. It's not just about Leo. This could help so many other children like him. We can change the future of pediatric cardiac care. Let's do it. By the time Elon landed in Phoenix, his mind was set. He wasn't just going to buy a car and be done with it. He wasn't going to let this story pass him by without doing something more. Elon had built companies that changed the world, but this, it felt different. This wasn't just about technology. It was about real people, real lives. Elon had come to realize something profound. Helping this child, this family, could mean so much more than just a good deed. It could be the spark for something much bigger. Something that could change the way medical technology worked for everyone. When Elon arrived at Darren's modest home, he was met by the man himself. Darren was standing in front of the Tesla, wiping down the hood with a rag, his eyes wide with disbelief. Elon stepped out of the car, wearing a simple dark jacket, his usual aura of confidence slightly muted by the quiet seriousness of the situation. Mr. Foster, thank you for meeting with me, Elon said, extending his hand. Darren shook it, still struggling to process the reality of the moment. I'm just a mechanic. You really want to see my car? Elon smiled, but there was a seriousness behind his expression. Yes, it's a beautiful car. I've seen many cars, but something about yours caught my attention. Darren looked over at Leo, who had been sitting outside on a lawn chair wrapped in a blanket, watching the proceedings. Leo was small, pale and frail, but his eyes were wide with excitement. As Elon approached, Leo smiled. You're the rocket guy, Leo said, his voice full of awe. You're sending people to Mars, right? Elon laughed softly, crouching down to Leo's level. That's right. You're interested in Mars? Leo nodded vigorously. I'm going to live there someday. I already designed my house. It's got rockets on the roof and tunnels to the farms underground. Elon looked over at Darren, who had a proud but somber look in his eyes. That's incredible, Elon said to Leo. You've got a great imagination. I've always wanted to go to space, Leo said, his face lighting up. Do you think you could take me to SpaceX? Elon chuckled, shaking his head. Well, we'll see what we can do, buddy. But first, I need to learn more about you, about your family. Let's go inside. As they entered the house, Elon noticed the simple yet warm decor. Family photos lined the walls, and the modest furnishings spoke to the hard work and love of the Whitley family. Tanya, Darren's wife, greeted them inside with a warm smile. She looked a little overwhelmed, but was clearly grateful for the chance to meet Elon. Thank you for coming, Tanya said, offering him a cup of coffee. Elon accepted, but his mind was still focused on Leo. The boy had a dream that was as big as Elon's own childhood fantasies. Maybe, just maybe, they were on the verge of something that could not only help Leo, but also lead to something far greater. Elon stood in the Foster family's modest living room, taking in the simple surroundings. The walls were adorned with family photos. The furniture was humble but well-maintained, and everything seemed to reflect the genuine warmth of a family holding on to each other through tough times. Leo was sitting in a small chair, wrapped in a blanket, his face pale but his eyes wide with curiosity as he watched Elon closely. Tanya, his mother, moved about the kitchen, preparing coffee while casting occasional glances at the billionaire who had somehow found his way into their lives. "So this is the Tesla Model 3, Elon said, turning toward Darren, who had been standing quietly by his side. He gestured to the car outside. "It's in excellent condition. I can see you've taken care of it." Darren gave a small, tight smile. "I'm a mechanic, Mr. Musk. It's what I do. Keep things running smoothly." Elon nodded thoughtfully. He had always been impressed by the hands-on approach of people who knew how to take care of the things they valued. He glanced back at Leo, who was watching him with wide eyes, clearly fascinated by the presence of such a famous figure. "I'm sure you've already heard this, but I've always had a love for space," Elon said casually. "It's why I'm here, actually. I was a kid just like Leo, dreaming of rockets and space adventures." Darren's expression softened, and he glanced at his son. "Yeah, I've heard all about that. Leo's been obsessed with space since he could talk. He's got big plans." Elon looked down at Leo, who was still sitting in his chair, staring at him with an intense gaze. The boy was clearly too sick to stand, but his mind was anything but frail. "Is that so?" Elon asked, crouching down to Leo's level. "What kind of plans do you have?" Leo's face brightened, despite his obvious exhaustion. "I'm going to live on Mars," he said eagerly. "I already designed a house. It's got rockets on the roof and tunnels to the farms underground." Elon's heart swelled as he listened. The boy's imagination was just as vast as Elon's had been when he was young. There was something strikingly familiar about Leo's passion for space. It reminded him of his own childhood dreams, those big, impossible dreams that had propelled him into the future he now inhabited. "That sounds incredible," Elon said with a smile. "I think you might just be onto something. What's your plan for the farm, though? How are you going to grow food?" Leo's eyes widened. "I'm going to use underground water. We can get it from the ice on Mars. It'll work." Elon was amazed. "You've really thought this through, huh?" Leo nodded proudly, despite the visible strain in his voice. "Yeah, I even made a model of the whole colony. I've got a map of Mars and everything." Elon's mind raced. Here he was, looking at a sick boy who had designed a Mars colony in his room, complete with underground farming and water extraction systems, and he was thinking, this kid is special. "Well, Leo," Elon said, his tone softening, "when I was a kid, I used to dream about space all the time, but I never thought about it in the way you have. You're a lot smarter than I was back then." Leo beamed at the compliment. His enthusiasm seemed to surge, as though Elon's words were a boost of energy. It was evident that, despite his fragile state, Leo had an innate brilliance about him. His ideas, although childlike in their simplicity, were grounded in a curiosity and logic that many adults never developed. Tanya came over with a tray of coffee mugs, her expression a mixture of gratitude and disbelief. "I'm sorry, Mr. Musk. I know this is probably a lot to take in," she said nervously, offering him a cup. "We didn't expect all this." Elon accepted the coffee, giving her a reassuring smile. "Please call me Elon. I didn't come here just because of the car. I came here because of Leo. I wanted to see him for myself, and I wanted to hear about his Mars house." Tanya looked at Leo, her eyes softening. "He's been talking about it non-stop for months. Even the doctors know about his Mars house," she said with a quiet laugh. "It's all he thinks about, even though he's so sick. He's always been this way." Elon's gaze shifted back to Leo, who was now holding up a folder with pages of hand-drawn rocket designs and blueprints. "You know," Elon began, his voice steady but thoughtful, "when I was your age, I was drawing rockets too. But I didn't have a plan like you. I just dreamed." Leo looked up from his folder, his bright eyes never leaving Elon. "Do you think I could really go to space someday?" he asked softly. Elon smiled gently, a hint of nostalgia in his eyes. "I think you can do anything, Leo. You've got an imagination that could take you to Mars and beyond." Darren and Tanya exchanged glances, still processing the fact that Elon Musk, the man who had revolutionized the world with electric cars and space travel, was sitting in their living room talking about their son's dreams. "Thank you," Tanya said quietly. All of this is more than we expected. I'm sure you've seen a lot of families going through hard times, but this is different." Elon looked at her, his gaze unwavering. "It is different. You have something here that most people don't. You have a son with a brilliant mind and a big heart. That's something worth investing in." Darren, who had been silent up until this point, nodded slowly. "I know what we're up against. The surgery's expensive, and we don't have much left. We've tried everything, but it's been hard." His voice cracked slightly, a reflection of the deep worry that had been gnawing at him for weeks. "We'd do anything for Leo, but we don't know how we'll come up with the money. Selling the car, it's the only thing left." Elon could hear the unspoken fear in Darren's voice. The man was doing everything he could to save his son, and it was clear that the Tesla was more than just a vehicle. It was a symbol of the sacrifices Darren was willing to make. "I understand," Elon said, his voice softening. "But I think we can do more than just buy your car. I think we can help Leo. And I think we can help others like him." The room grew silent for a moment as everyone took in the weight of Elon's words. "I've been working on something," Elon continued, looking back at Leo. "A new medical initiative. It's called Heart Horizon. It combines the technologies from Tesla and SpaceX to help children with heart conditions like Leo's. And I think Leo might be the perfect candidate to help us take this technology to the next level." Tanya and Darren exchanged looks, their expressions a mix of disbelief and hope. "Elon," Darren said slowly, "are you saying you could help Leo?" Elon nodded. "I believe we can. We'll make sure the surgery is covered, and we'll help develop a solution that can save many more children like Leo." Leo, still holding his folder of designs, looked up at Elon with wide eyes. "So, I get to go to space?" Elon smiled warmly. "One step at a time, Leo. Let's fix that heart first." The following morning, after a night of restless sleep, Elon woke up to the buzz of his phone. Mei Zhang had already sent him a message confirming that Darren and Tanya Foster had agreed to proceed with his plan to help Leo. A small but hopeful step in what was becoming a much bigger mission. It was a moment of quiet determination, but it also marked the beginning of something that would change not only Leo's life, but potentially the future of pediatric cardiac care. As Elon dressed, his mind raced with ideas. The concept of Heart Horizon had been something he'd been working on for months, a division focused on revolutionizing medical technology for children with heart defects, combining Tesla's battery technology with SpaceX's life support systems. But this was different. Leo was different. Elon saw something in the boy, something rare, a spark of innovation that reminded him of his own early dreams of exploration and invention. By the time Elon arrived at the Tesla headquarters in Palo Alto, he was ready. His team had gathered all of Leo's medical records and already started reviewing his case. Their task now was clear. They would move forward with Heart Horizon, and Leo would be their first patient. They would combine their expertise to save his life. Elon walked into the conference room where his medical team was already gathered. Dr. Franklin, the head of his medical research division, looked up as Elon entered. "Morning, Elon," Franklin said, glancing at the stack of papers and medical reports. "We've been analyzing Leo's case. It's a rare condition, but I believe we have the technology to help him." Elon nodded, leaning over to look at the files on the table. "What's the plan?" Dr. Franklin tapped the papers. "The problem with Leo's heart is that it's too thickened. The blood flow is restricted, which is causing the muscle to strain. Traditional methods would require a full surgery to replace or reconstruct parts of the heart. But with our technology, we could help his heart pump more efficiently without invasive surgery. We have a new cardiac assist device that might be the answer." Elon studied the designs in front of him. The device was small, about the size of a coin, but with the ability to deliver tremendous impact. A solution that didn't require the complexities of a full heart transplant, but could still save Leo's life. The more Elon read, the more confident he became. "This is it," Elon said. "We've worked on this for a while, but Leo's case is the perfect test. If we can fix his heart, We can fix hundreds, even thousands of children. This could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for." The team nodded and the room grew quiet for a moment as everyone absorbed the significance of the task ahead. "I'll reach out to the Fosters today," Elon said, finally breaking the silence. "Let them know that we're moving forward. I'll also make sure Leo gets the best care possible. We can't waste any more time." The next few days were a blur of activity. Darren and Tanya, still processing everything that had happened since Elon's visit, were overwhelmed but relieved. For the first time in weeks, they could breathe. There was hope, real hope, that Leo might not only survive, but thrive. Darren spent the days leading up to the surgery making sure everything was in order. He'd never imagined his son's future could look so different. But here they were, getting ready to embark on a journey that could change everything. Elon's team had arranged for Leo's transfer to the Heart Horizon facility, a state-of-the-art medical center located just outside of SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. The facility was a marvel of modern design, blending cutting-edge technology with the comfort and care of a top-tier hospital. When Darren and Tanya arrived with Leo, they were met by Dr. Amara Chen, a renowned pediatric cardiac surgeon who had been brought on to lead the program. She was tall and poised, with a calming presence that immediately put them at ease. "Mr. and Mrs. Foster," Dr. Chen said warmly, extending a hand. "It's good to meet you both, and this must be Leo." Leo, who had been quietly watching everything unfold around him, offered her a shy smile. "Hi," he said softly. Dr. Chen crouched down to his level, her eyes kind and welcoming. "Hi, Leo. I've heard a lot about you. I hear you've got big plans for Mars. I'm very impressed with your imagination." Leo smiled a little wider. "I'm going to build a house on Mars, with rockets and tunnels. It'll be awesome." Elon, who had been quietly watching the exchange, couldn't help but smile. The boy's optimism was infectious. "That sounds incredible, Leo," Elon said, stepping forward. "You know, when I was your age, I was dreaming about rockets and space too. Maybe one day we can go to Mars together." Leo's eyes widened. "You're serious?" "I am," Elon said with a wink. "But first, we need to get that heart of yours fixed." Tanya and Darren exchanged a look. For the first time, they felt like they were truly on the verge of something extraordinary. This wasn't just about Leo's survival. It was about giving him a future where anything was possible. The surgery took hours, but when Dr. Chen emerged from the operating room, she was smiling. "Everything went as planned," she said to Darren and Tanya, who were anxiously waiting outside. "The device is in place, and Leo's heart is already showing improvement. It's working even better than we expected." Elon had stayed throughout the procedure, his mind focused on Leo's recovery. The new device, which used Tesla's energy technology and SpaceX's life support systems, was proving to be even more effective than anticipated. As Elon spoke with Dr. Chen, he felt a sense of satisfaction. This was the future he had envisioned. The combination of cutting-edge technologies from two of his companies, all to save the life of a child. It wasn't just about the tech, it was about the people. It was about Leo. And just as importantly, it was about the countless other children who could benefit from this same treatment in the future. Later that evening, as Elon stood beside Leo's bed, the boy's eyes fluttered open. "How do you feel?" Elon asked quietly. Leo blinked a few times, his small face wrinkled in confusion. Then he smiled, weakly but with that same determination Elon had seen in his smile before. "I feel better," Leo whispered. "Like I could go run around, but I think I need a nap first." Elon chuckled, his heart lifting. "That's a good idea, Leo. You rest now. You've got a big future ahead of you." As he watched Leo drift back to sleep, Elon felt a profound sense of accomplishment. This wasn't just about changing the future of medical technology. It was about making the impossible possible, about giving a child the chance to dream big and actually follow those dreams. The future, it seemed, had just begun for Leo and Elon Musk. The following weeks at the Heart Horizon facility were a whirlwind of activity. Leo's recovery was nothing short of miraculous. What had once been a fragile heart, struggling to keep pace with his body's demands, was now working with newfound efficiency. The tiny cardiac assist device that had been inserted during surgery was performing perfectly, and Leo was already showing signs of improvement. His color was better, his energy levels rising, and his spirits higher than anyone had expected. Tanya and Darren couldn't believe the transformation. Their son, who had been so weak just weeks ago, was now starting to regain some of the energy that had been slowly draining from him for the past year. It was like watching a flower slowly unfurl, coming back to life. But it wasn't just Leo's health that was improving. The new device was showing promise in ways Elon and his medical team hadn't anticipated. Their goal was to help Leo, but now it seemed like they were on the brink of something much bigger, something that could help countless other children facing similar heart conditions. Elon was a regular visitor to the Heart Horizon facility, often sitting with Leo, discussing the boy's Mars colony designs or the latest developments at SpaceX. Leo's mind was always racing with new ideas, his creativity boundless. Even in the midst of his recovery, Elon had never met anyone quite like him. One afternoon, as they were sitting together in Leo's room, Elon looked at the young boy and smiled. "I was thinking, Leo," he said, "we've got all this advanced technology, right? We could use it to do some really cool things." Leo looked up from his drawing, his brow furrowed with concentration. "Like what?" "Well," Elon said, "we could build a system that would help your heart even more. Something that could work with the device inside you and give your heart an extra boost when it needs it. It could help other kids like you, kids who have hearts like yours." Leo's eyes lit up. "That sounds amazing. Can we do it?" Elon nodded, his voice steady. "We can, and we will. But I need your help. I think you might be the key to something bigger." Leo paused, looking up at Elon with a mix of curiosity and determination. "What do you mean?" Elon smiled. "You've got a great mind, Leo, and sometimes the best solutions come from places no one expects. You've already come up with some brilliant ideas for Mars, haven't you?" Leo grinned. "Yeah, my Mars house, the rockets, the tunnels." "And that," Elon said, "is what I'm talking about. Sometimes the answers we need are in the most unexpected places. What if you could help us come up with a new way to use technology that no one has thought of yet?" Leo's face lit up as he realized what Elon was suggesting. "You mean I could help you build something for other kids?" Elon nodded. "Exactly." The idea of helping other children like Leo had always been at the core of Elon's mission with Heart Horizon, but now it was more than just a concept. With Leo's recovery advancing so rapidly, it seemed like the time had come to expand their efforts. Elon and his team were working on new ideas for devices that could be used in pediatric cardiac care, but it was Leo's innovative mind that had the potential to take their work in an entirely new direction. Over the next few weeks, Elon spent more time with Leo, not just discussing his medical treatment, but also diving into Leo's ideas for the future. They talked about space, about Mars, and about the future of humanity. Elon had always believed that the future belonged to the curious, to those who were bold enough to imagine what others thought was impossible. Now sitting across from Leo, he saw in the boy a spark that could ignite a revolution, not just in space, but in medical technology. Meanwhile, back at SpaceX headquarters, Elon's engineers had been hard at work refining their designs for the new technologies that would be used in the Heart Horizon initiative. They had already made significant strides with the cardiac assist device, but now they were looking at ways to incorporate Leo's ideas. In one of their meetings, Elon shared Leo's vision for a new system of docking between spacecrafts that would use magnets to connect ships in orbit, a design that was as elegant as it was practical. It was something Leo had drawn in one of his many sketches of his Mars colony, and it immediately caught Elon's attention. "This design," Elon said, as he presented Leo's work to his engineers, "might just be the key to solving a problem we've been working on for months. Leo's design could revolutionize docking procedures for interplanetary missions." The engineers exchanged looks of surprise. "This looks like something from an entirely different field of study," one of them remarked. Elon smiled. "Exactly. And that's what makes it so brilliant. Sometimes the best solutions come from the simplest ideas." The more they tested Leo's design, the more it became clear that this was no coincidence. The boy had stumbled upon a solution that Elon's engineers had overlooked. What had initially been a simple idea, magnetic alignment for spacecraft docking, was proving to be incredibly efficient and effective. Elon's team was quick to get to work on the design, testing it in various conditions to see how it would hold up in real-world scenarios. As they worked, they realized that this technology could not only be used for future Mars missions, but could also serve as the foundation for more efficient space exploration across the solar system. And it had all started with an 8-year-old boy's imagination. As Leo's health continued to improve, so did his involvement in SpaceX's projects. Elon invited him to the company headquarters for a tour of their facilities. Leo had always dreamed of seeing the place where rockets were made, and now he was about to see it firsthand. When they arrived at SpaceX's headquarters, Elon greeted the Foster family personally. Leo's eyes grew wide as they walked into the vast warehouse where rockets were being assembled. He had seen pictures, of course, but being there in person was something entirely different. "This is where we build the future," Elon said as he led them through the factory floor. "Every part of these rockets, every piece of technology, is built with a dream in mind." Leo's mouth dropped open as he looked at the massive rockets being constructed before his eyes. "Wow," he whispered. "This is amazing." Elon chuckled, watching the boy's reaction. "There's a place here for you, Leo. When you're ready, I think we could use someone with your ideas." They toured the entire facility, from the manufacturing area to the rocket testing sites. It was an experience unlike any other, and Leo soaked it all in, asking questions and pointing out details that even the engineers hadn't noticed. It was clear that his mind was working on a level that few could comprehend. At the end of the tour, Elon led Leo to a special room where a model of a Mars habitat was being constructed. The design was eerily similar to the one Leo had drawn in his bedroom months before. "I think this is a sign," Elon said, glancing at the model and then at Leo. "We're on the right track." Leo grinned, his eyes alight with excitement. "Yeah, it looks just like mine." Elon chuckled, giving Leo a pat on the back. "Maybe your ideas will help us get to Mars faster than we thought." Leo's future was looking brighter every day. As his heart continued to recover and his ideas continued to inspire those around him, it became clear that the impossible was no longer out of reach. The boy who once dreamed of rockets and Mars colonies had just become a part of a team that was changing the world. And for the first time in a long while, Leo felt like his dreams were no longer just dreams. They were a path to the future. Weeks passed, and Leo's recovery continued to exceed expectations. His heart was now functioning at nearly full capacity, thanks to the cardiac assist device that Elon's team had developed. The once weak boy, who could barely walk without tiring, was now running around the Heart Horizon facility, playing with other kids who had come to undergo treatment. His face was brighter, his energy restored, and his dreams for the future, dreams of Mars, rockets, and colonies, were more vivid than ever. Elon kept his promise to Leo, arranging frequent visits to SpaceX, where the young boy's imagination ran wild as he explored the facilities, speaking with engineers and even sketching his own designs for rockets and habitats. Elon had long since realized that Leo's contribution wasn't just about his health, it was about the potential that lay within his mind. This was just the beginning. Meanwhile, back at Tesla and SpaceX, the Heart Horizon initiative had been quietly gaining traction. Elon's medical team was now working on refining the technology for children with similar conditions, and the success of Leo's treatment had sparked the creation of new clinical trials. What had started as a personal mission to save one child had evolved into a full-scale effort to bring life-saving technology to children around the world. It was clear to Elon that this wasn't just about technology. It was about people, about saving lives, about giving children like Leo the chance to pursue their dreams. And in Leo's case, his dreams were as big as they came. One sunny morning, Elon stood at the front of a large stage in a spacious auditorium at SpaceX headquarters. It was a special day, the official launch of the Heart Horizon initiative. The event had been months in the making, and today Elon was about to share the culmination of all their hard work with the world. It was a momentous occasion, but one that felt deeply personal to him. As the audience settled into their seats, Elon glanced over at the Foster family, sitting in the front row. Tanya was holding Leo's hand, her eyes still a little wide with disbelief. Darren, looking more relaxed than he had in weeks, sat next to her, his gaze proud as he watched Elon prepare for the presentation. "Thank you all for being here today," Elon began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "This is a very special day for me, not just because of the technology we've developed, but because of a little boy named Leo." The crowd fell silent as Elon paused, his gaze shifting to Leo, who was sitting up straighter than ever, a slight smile playing on his lips. Elon continued, "Leo's story is not just one of survival, it's one of hope. It's about what happens when we believe in something bigger than ourselves, when we take the technology we've created and use it to change lives." The audience applauded as Elon gestured toward Leo. Leo was our first patient in the Heart Horizon program, and today I'm proud to announce that his recovery, his remarkable recovery, has inspired a new approach to pediatric cardiac care that will benefit thousands of children. The applause grew louder, and Leo's smile widened as he glanced up at his parents. Darren squeezed Tanya's hand, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the opportunities that had come their way. Just a few months ago, they had been at their lowest point, struggling to make ends meet and save their son's life. Now they were sitting at the center of a revolution in medicine and technology. Elon continued, his words carrying the weight of a promise he had made to the foster family and to the world. "Thanks to Leo's case, we've been able to fine-tune our technology, develop new treatments, and expand our efforts to help children all over the world. Our goal is to treat 500 children with heart conditions over the next 5 years, and I believe we can do even more." A hush fell over the room as Elon paused for effect. But it's not just about treating children, it's about creating a future where children like Leo can dream big, where they can pursue careers in space, in science, in engineering. Because the future belongs to kids like Leo. The crowd erupted into applause once more, but this time it was different. The applause wasn't just for the medical breakthroughs, the groundbreaking technology, or even for the successful launch of the Heart Horizon initiative. It was for Leo, for his courage, his imagination, and the spark of genius that had inspired the future of medical technology. Elon motioned for Leo to join him on stage. The young boy stood, his SpaceX jacket, complete with his name embroidered on the sleeve, swaying gently as he walked toward Elon. He was nervous, but his excitement couldn't be contained. As Leo approached, Elon placed a hand on his shoulder. "This young man," Elon said to the crowd, "has already contributed more to our Mars program than he knows. The docking system he designed, something so simple, yet so brilliant, is now being used in our spacecraft. And that's just the beginning. Leo is not only shaping the future of medical technology, but he's also helping us build a path to Mars." The audience stood and applauded, cheering for Leo, who blushed but couldn't hide his pride. Elon stepped back, allowing Leo to soak in the moment. "Leo," Elon said, leaning down to the boy, "you've got an incredible future ahead of you. Keep dreaming big, because as you've shown all of us, the impossible is just a matter of perspective." Later that evening, after the event had concluded and the guests had left, Elon took a moment to reflect. The launch had been a success. There was no doubt about that. But it wasn't just the technology or the recognition that made it meaningful. It was the people, the lives they had changed, the hope they had given. As he walked through the empty SpaceX headquarters, Elon couldn't help but feel a sense of deep satisfaction. He had built companies that had revolutionized space exploration and electric vehicles. But this initiative, this breakthrough in pediatric cardiac care, felt like something that truly mattered. And it had all started with a child who had dreamed of Mars before anyone had even thought about it. A child whose heart had been repaired by technology, but whose imagination had inspired an entire generation. Elon smiled to himself. The future was bright, and it was just getting started. The launch event for the Heart Horizon initiative had been a tremendous success, and Leo's story was now out in the world. His recovery had captured the hearts of millions, and the technology developed through the program was already making waves in the medical community. But while the world celebrated these accomplishments, Elon Musk knew that behind the scenes, the real challenges were just beginning. Back at Tesla and SpaceX, the fallout from Elon's personal involvement in Heart Horizon was starting to show. The board of directors had begun to voice their concerns, and the pressure was mounting. Elon had always been known for taking risks, for focusing on long-term goals rather than short-term profits. But this time, his involvement in a medical project was raising more than a few eyebrows. One afternoon, after another board meeting filled with tense discussions, Elon sat alone in his office, staring at the emails and reports that had been piling up. The issues with production delays at Tesla were still unresolved, and the board was not happy about the resources being diverted toward Heart Horizon. They had already questioned his leadership in the past, but now with the program's potential to cost millions more, their frustration was beginning to boil over. Elon knew what they were thinking. Heart Horizon wasn't profitable, at least not in the short term. But to Elon, the idea of saving lives, of using the technology from SpaceX and Tesla to help children like Leo, was worth any sacrifice. He had always believed that technology could solve problems that seemed insurmountable, and now he was more committed than ever to that vision. As he sat in his office, a thought crossed his mind. If the board didn't see the value in what he was doing, he might have to go about it differently. He might have to take more drastic measures, even if it meant jeopardizing his position as CEO. But despite the pressure, despite the constant pushback, Elon knew one thing for sure. He couldn't turn his back on the work he had started. Not when it meant so much to Leo, not when it had the potential to help so many other children. Meanwhile, back in Phoenix, the Whitley family was adjusting to their new reality. After everything that had happened, Darren and Tanya found themselves in a whirlwind of gratitude and disbelief. Leo was doing better than they had ever imagined, and they had been given the kind of financial stability they had once thought impossible. Elon had made good on his promises, ensuring Leo received the best possible care. But now, as Leo continued to heal, their thoughts began to shift toward the future. It wasn't just about medical bills anymore. It was about what came next. What kind of future could they give Leo? What dreams would he be able to pursue now that his heart had been repaired? One evening, after a quiet dinner, Darren sat with Tanya on the couch, their eyes glued to the news. The latest headlines were focused on Elon Musk and the Heart Horizon initiative. They had watched the live stream of the event and listened to Elon's speech about the future of pediatric cardiac care. But as the newscasters talked about the success of the program, Darren couldn't help but notice the subtle undertones of tension. "I don't get it," Darren said, leaning back in his chair. "They're questioning him. The board of directors at Tesla, they think this is a waste of time." Tanya frowned. "Why? He's helped us more than we could ever imagine. He saved Leo's life." "I know," Darren replied. "But the way they're talking about him, about Heart Horizon, it's like they don't see the bigger picture. They don't understand why he's doing this. They don't see it the way we do." Tanya placed a hand on Darren's. "What if it's not just about the money? Maybe he's really trying to make a difference. Like he said, this could help so many other kids." Darren sighed. "I want to believe that. I do. But what if it costs him everything? What if he loses his position at Tesla? What if all this effort, it's not worth it to him in the end?" Back in California, Elon was facing his own set of doubts. The board's resistance to Heart Horizon had become more vocal, and it was clear that his position as CEO of Tesla was at risk. The meetings were tense, and the pressure was mounting. Each day, Elon found himself defending his decision to prioritize the initiative over traditional profits. His assistant, May, entered his office one morning, her expression serious. "Elon, the board is requesting a meeting with you," she said. "They want to discuss the future of Heart Horizon. And frankly, they're not happy with how much of your focus has been diverted from Tesla." Elon leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. The weight of it all was starting to get to him. "I know," he said quietly, "but they don't see what I see. They don't understand why this matters." May hesitated, then spoke cautiously. "Elon, I know you believe in this. I do too. But is it worth risking your position over it? I've seen them start to question your leadership. They don't want you to focus on things like this if it's going to hurt the bottom line." Elon looked out the window, his mind racing. He had always known that his unconventional approach would eventually rub some people the wrong way, but he hadn't expected it to happen like this. Not with something that meant so much to him. "What if I can't make them understand?" he asked softly, more to himself than to May. "I don't know," she replied. "But you can't keep fighting this battle forever. You've built something extraordinary with Tesla and SpaceX, but the board won't stand for this if it puts their profits at risk. If you keep pushing forward with Heart Horizon, you might lose everything." Elon stood up, walking over to the window. He looked out at the sprawling city below, thinking about everything he had built, everything he had sacrificed. And then his thoughts turned to Leo, to the boy who had inspired this initiative, and to the families who would benefit from it in the future. "I can't turn back now," Elon said, his voice firm. "I believe in this too much. If I lose my position, so be it. This is bigger than any one company. This is about the future, and I'll do whatever it takes to make that future happen." Back in Phoenix, Darren and Tanya were anxiously waiting to hear from Elon, hoping for more clarity on what would come next. They knew their son's future was brighter than ever, but they couldn't shake the worry that something might change. They had been given so much, but they weren't sure how long it would last. But they didn't have to wait long. Just as they were discussing the possibilities, Tanya's phone rang. It was an unknown number. She picked it up immediately. "Hello? Mrs. Foster," said a calm, familiar voice. "It's Elon Musk." Tanya's heart skipped a beat. "Mr. Musk? Is everything okay? Leo, he's still recovering well?" Elon chuckled lightly. "Yes, Leo's recovery is progressing beyond expectations. I'm calling for another reason. I wanted to personally let you know that Heart Horizon is moving forward. I'll be taking full responsibility for it, no matter what the board decides at Tesla. I believe in this, and I believe in Leo, and I will continue fighting for it." Tanya's eyes filled with tears as she turned to Darren. "You're sure? You're really going to keep going?" Elon's voice was steady and reassuring. "I'm sure. I believe in this more than anything I've ever done. The program is going to help many children like Leo. And as for your son, we're going to make sure his future is bright. I promise you, no matter what happens with the board, we're in this together." As the weeks rolled on, Leo's recovery continued to defy expectations. The tiny cardiac assist device had integrated perfectly into his heart, allowing his organ to function with remarkable efficiency. His doctors were amazed at how quickly his body was adjusting, and even more surprised by his increased energy levels. Leo, once pale and fragile, was now playing, laughing, and running with the other children at the Heart Horizon facility, his energy restored and his spirits lifted. But the world around him was changing too. While the success of the Heart Horizon program had captured widespread attention, Elon Musk was facing mounting pressure from his board of directors at Tesla. The costs of the initiative were growing, and some investors were starting to question whether Elon's focus on this medical project was putting his other ventures at risk. Despite the success of SpaceX and Tesla, the battle between prioritizing profits and pursuing a vision for the future was growing more intense. Elon had always been a man of conviction. When he believed in something, he threw himself into it without hesitation. And right now, that meant pouring his energy into Heart Horizon, into helping children like Leo. But there was always a cost to pushing boundaries, and Elon was starting to feel the weight of that cost more than ever. One evening, while Leo was playing with some of the new rocket models Elon had brought him, Darren and Tanya sat together in the lounge talking quietly. They were more relaxed now, relieved that Leo's recovery was going so well. But despite the good news, a lingering worry still hung in the air. "Do you think Elon's okay?" Tanya asked, looking over at Darren. "I mean, he's done so much for us, but I can't help but feel that maybe he's paying a price for it." Darren nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I think he's paying a bigger price than we realize. I mean, think about it. He's got Tesla and SpaceX on his shoulders, but he's still here. He's still making sure Leo's okay. He's giving us everything he promised and more." "But what about the board?" Tanya asked, concern creeping into her voice. "They're not happy about Heart Horizon, right? I don't want him to lose everything just to help us." Darren shook his head slowly. "I don't think Elon would back down, even if the whole world told him he was wrong. But you're right. It's not just about Leo anymore. It's bigger than that." Meanwhile, at Tesla's headquarters, Elon was in the midst of yet another tense board meeting. The room was filled with executives and investors, all of whom were beginning to question his commitment to the company's bottom line. Their frustration was palpable as they discussed the future of Tesla's business strategy, and Elon could feel the weight of their disapproval. "Mr. Musk," one of the investors, a man in a sharp suit, began, "We're very pleased with the success of SpaceX and Tesla, but we have concerns about the focus of the Heart Horizon program. The initiative is expensive, and it's taking resources away from our core business." Elon sat back in his chair, his fingers steepled in front of him. Heart Horizon is a key part of our future. The technology we're developing for children with heart conditions can change the entire landscape of medical care. It's an investment in humanity, and it's the right thing to do. Another board member, a woman with a stern expression, interjected. We understand your passion for the project, Elon, but the reality is that Tesla's mission is to make electric cars and sustainable energy solutions. We're investors. We need to see returns, not a new healthcare initiative that isn't generating profit. Elon's mind raced as the conversation continued. The board was right in one sense. Their job was to ensure Tesla's financial success, but that didn't mean he could turn his back on what he believed in. Heart Horizon wasn't just a medical project. It was a chance to fundamentally change the way society approached healthcare, particularly for children. And to Elon, that mattered more than anything else. I understand the financial concerns, Elon said, his voice steady, but I can't walk away from this. The world needs us to do this. The room was quiet for a moment, the tension thick. Finally, the lead investor spoke up. We'll give you time, Elon, but this can't keep going without a clearer path to profitability. You need to focus on bringing in returns, or we'll have to make some difficult decisions. Elon nodded, though his mind was already elsewhere. He had been through moments like this before, but this time felt different. He wasn't just fighting for his company, he was fighting for something he truly believed would change the world. Back in Phoenix, life had started to return to normal for the Foster family. Leo was playing baseball again, something that had seemed impossible just a few months ago. He was eating better, his skin no longer pale, his strength growing with each passing day. It was like watching him transform back into the vibrant child he had been before the sickness took over. Darren and Tanya, meanwhile, were still in awe of everything Elon had done for them. They had been given a new lease on life, but even as they found stability in their personal lives, they couldn't help but feel a little uneasy about Elon's situation. They knew he had sacrificed a lot to help their son, but what if it cost him more than he could afford? One afternoon, while Leo was playing with his friends in the yard, Tanya and Darren sat together on the porch, looking out at their son's laughter. It was a peaceful moment, but there was still an underlying concern. I think we need to talk to Elon, Tanya said, her voice soft. I don't want him to feel like he has to carry all of this alone. He's done so much for us, but we need to make sure he's okay too. Darren nodded. You're right. He's been there for us when we needed him the most. Maybe it's time we offered him something in return. They sat in silence for a while, their thoughts lingering on the man who had made all of this possible. They had been given a second chance, and now they needed to find a way to ensure Elon's vision could keep going without costing him everything. Meanwhile, Elon was back at his desk, staring out of his office window. The pressure was mounting, and he could feel the weight of it, but there was still something inside him that refused to back down. Heart Horizon was bigger than Tesla, bigger than SpaceX, and bigger than any corporation. It was about something that truly mattered, people's lives. As Elon pondered the choices ahead, his phone buzzed with a message from May. It was from the Foster family. Mr. Musk, we'd like to meet with you. Can we arrange a time to talk? Elon smiled faintly. For the first time in weeks, a sense of relief washed over him. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't just about him. It was about all of them working together to build something bigger than any one person. A movement, a future, and this was just the beginning. The day the Foster family reached out to Elon, he knew that things were about to change. He had been caught in a whirlwind of board meetings, production issues, and personal struggles. But now, in this moment, everything felt clearer. The Foster family had been through so much, and yet here they were, offering him something important. Something that would help him keep moving forward in a world that seemed intent on making him choose between the impossible and the practical. Elon arranged to meet with Darren and Tanya that same evening. As he made his way to their home in Phoenix, he reflected on everything that had led to this point. The first time he saw Leo's smile, the unexpected connection he felt, and how the boy had unknowingly shown him a new path, a way to merge the world of technology with human care in a way that hadn't been done before. When Elon arrived at the Foster household, he was greeted by Darren and Tanya at the door. They looked as though they had been waiting for him, and Elon could see the gratitude in their eyes. But there was something else too, something deeper, a feeling that they were all on the same team now, working together for something bigger than all of them. "Thank you for coming, Elon," Tanya said warmly. "We've been thinking a lot, and we wanted to talk to you about something." Elon smiled, his eyes scanning the familiar but still humble surroundings. "Of course. What's on your mind?" Darren, looking more composed than he had in weeks, stepped forward. "We've been talking about the work you're doing, about everything you've done for Leo, and we've realized something." He paused, searching for the right words. "We don't want you to feel like you're carrying all of this by yourself. We're all in this together." Tanya nodded, her eyes earnest. "We've been given so much, and it's more than we ever expected. But now we want to do our part. We want to help make sure Heart Horizon keeps going, so that more kids like Leo have the chance to get better." Elon was silent for a moment, taking in their words. It wasn't just about giving money or resources. It was about standing together, about offering something even more valuable: their support. "I don't know what to say," Elon began, his voice filled with emotion. "You've already given me more than I could ever ask for. Your trust, your belief in this program, it means everything to me. But what you're saying, it's exactly what I needed to hear." Darren smiled. "We know this isn't easy, Elon. We know you're fighting an uphill battle, but what you're doing is so important. You've given Leo a chance to live, to dream, and I don't think it's too much to ask that we help make sure that chance exists for others." Tanya added, "You've changed our lives, Elon. You've given us hope. We want to help make sure that doesn't stop." Elon was struck by the sincerity in their words. It was true. He had been so focused on the technology, on the big picture, that he hadn't realized how much he had gained from this experience personally. The Foster family had shown him what it meant to give, what it meant to truly invest in others. They weren't just asking for help, they were offering it too. "Thank you," Elon said softly, his voice thick with emotion. "I don't think I've ever heard anything more important than what you just said. I've been struggling with the pressure from the board, trying to make everyone understand why Heart Horizon matters. But you're right, this isn't just my fight, it's ours. And together we can make sure this goes forward, no matter what." In the weeks that followed, Elon found himself not only continuing his work on Heart Horizon, but also gaining a new perspective on what it meant to lead. With the Foster family's support, he was able to navigate the pressure from Tesla's board and investors. They had been unwavering in their commitment to the program, and their backing allowed him to push through the doubts that had been holding him back. The success of Heart Horizon continued to grow. Elon's team worked tirelessly to refine the cardiac assist devices and expand the program to other children's hospitals across the country. Leo's case had proven to be a turning point, and soon other families were finding hope through the program. One day, as Elon sat in his office, reviewing the latest reports on Heart Horizon's expansion, his assistant, May, entered with an update. "Mr. Musk," May said, "Heart Horizon is receiving attention from all over the world. We've had offers to partner with medical institutions in Europe, Asia, and South America. There's talk of expanding the program internationally." Elon smiled, his mind racing with the possibilities. "This is just the beginning," he said, almost to himself. "We've only scratched the surface. There's so much more we can do." Back in Phoenix, Leo was thriving. His energy was boundless, and his imagination had only grown stronger. He spent hours drawing new designs for rockets and space colonies, all the while knowing that his work was making a difference. One afternoon, as Leo showed Elon some of his latest sketches, he turned to the man who had made it all possible. "Elon," Leo said, his voice serious, "I've been thinking about my Mars house again. I want it to be more than just a house. I want it to be a place where people can live and work together, a place where we can solve problems and make things better." Elon leaned forward, clearly impressed. "That sounds like a fantastic idea, Leo. Maybe one day we can make that happen." Leo smiled, his face lighting up with the excitement of his own ideas. "I think we can. We can build it together." Elon nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride. He had always believed that the future belonged to those who dared to dream, and here in front of him was a young boy who embodied that belief in every way. As the months passed, the Heart Horizon initiative grew stronger, and Elon's vision began to take shape in ways he had never imagined. He had built companies that changed the world, but this program, this movement, was something that would truly leave a lasting legacy. Leo's story had sparked the revolution in pediatric heart care, and now, with the support of the foster family and countless others, the program was on its way to transforming the lives of children everywhere. It was a new beginning, not just for Elon Musk, but for the future of humanity. And it had all started with a little boy who loved space, dreamed of Mars, and believed that anything was possible. And as Elon looked at Leo, still sketching away with his bright smile and boundless energy, he couldn't help but believe it too. The future was bright, and it was just beginning.